Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the daily SPY, and let's go into the 10-minute. We had a gap up today and boom, crapped out, came in, a little bit crazy action right at noon, popped it up, didn't get above the 200 moving average, came right back in, consolidated, inside bar, boom, boom, little sell-off at the end of the day, little pop, little drop, and pretty much at the end of the, we closed at the lows of the day. So going back to the daily, again, they tried to recapture this 20 moving average the other day, they did. Came back in, came back down, popped it up, and gapped down. Today we had earnings on Google and Amazon. Google, pretty much a non-event. Amazon, I don't know. I think it was maybe 40 bucks down, so nothing serious. But you got to think, Amazon didn't pull out good earnings, I guess. And after that huge run up, like we were saying, how much more does it have left in the tank? Another high flyer. But anyways, we're still in a bearish consolidation, inside bar and an inside bar. Let's see if we can get some lower prices tomorrow on the GDP, but they're going to massage those numbers just perfectly to say, hey, look, we have 1% growth. How awesome is that? Which is pretty pathetic, guys. So again, inside bar, bearish pattern below the MAs, just chopping around, 77 million on a day, another light volume day. And pretty much just a little bit of profit taking into the end on the big earnings reports. Tomorrow we have ExxonMobil. Maybe they get the oil rally going again. Who knows? But I think we're waiting on elections, seeing what happens there, and then I think the markets are going to make a decision. Again, weekly chart, inside bar, 1, 2, 3, 7 weeks, starting to pull back. I'd like to see a couple more weeks and then more downside, but we're right in that time frame where we could possibly start to sell. If you're bullish, you need to get above this 216.62 and then ultimately back to the all-time high, which is around 219.60. So until then, we're chopping around, inside bar, bearish pattern, possibly going down with the light volume, a little bit tough to sell the markets. Let's get into the IWM, which this one's been talking to us, guys. This one had a pretty nice sell-off today. It was definitely the leader on the way down. I want to see what we had here. It was down 1.14%, so not terrible, but got to keep an eye on this one. I mean, this one broke the low of the day and then just kept going. A little bit of bounce at the end of the day, probably some shorts covering, but $1.37 down on the day. And going back to the daily, we've been talking about this one lagging. Inside bar, bearish pattern came in, another bearish pattern here, starting to fall. We did come down and fill the gap at 118.13 by a couple cents, right? Was there a gap? I think there's a gap. There was some. Oh no, yeah, right here, right there, that gap there. So let's see if that's going to hold it. See if we retrace. If it retraces back up, it's going to give us another opportunity to short this thing. We'll take this one short one more time and bring it on down. I am short that index. I'm short the SPY, the Qs, and a bunch of other ones too. So, but this one's starting to break down. Let's see if we get a retrace, or do we start heading lower tomorrow, possibly on the news. But like I said, it couldn't be bad. I mean, maybe, but geez, that's not part of the plan, guys. But again, inside bar, bearish pattern. I'd like to see more consolidation here, but it broke down. Maybe we get some more sideways action here and then possibly break down. But at this point, it's looking a little bit on the weaker side until it gets above this bar or these highs here. I think this one's going down. Again, lagging indicator. I've been telling you guys that for a long time. Qs, same thing. A little bit weak on the day, 55 cents. Nothing crazy, but we did close below the 20 MA today. So let's see if we can stay there, if they bounce it back up on some news, or I'm looking at, I want to see it close below this 50 here, and then possibly we see more selling. But again, we chopped around, they popped it up, they made a new all-time high, came in, reversed, came in with some follow-through. Again, we started up on a gap up, crapped out the rest of the day. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day with the big earnings, with the GDP. I mean, Tesla pulled back nicely, but Elon came out with some news. They had a little bit of a bounce at the end, but what a fade on that one as well. But the Qs on the weekly, Again, holding fine above the MAs, strong stance. Let's see what the next tomorrow and next week brings us on this one. We'll see where we close as well. If we close down a little bit lower, maybe on the 117.16, it's still slightly bullish, but again, we're at all-time highs. Come on. I want this thing to break out and go higher. If not, it's going to do the path of least resistance and start heading down. Now, the Dow, on the other hand, it was only 24 cents down. But what was the leaders? Whatever the Dow component leaders were, there was a couple that were green today that was holding this thing up. But on the daily, you can see inside bar bearish pattern. Same thing as the SPY, just long consolidation, just holding this, holding this. But we did break through this trend line here. We talked about this one. And we are below that right now, so we got to keep an eye on that one. And we are still below the 50 and the 20, so it's still in a weak stance. Let's see what we get tomorrow, and then we'll see what we get on the weekly close. Let me see here. Yeah, nice consolidation inside bar on here too. We are below the 20 MA still. As long as we hang below that area and this trend line as well, we still have a possibility of going down. I still think they're holding it up, for another couple weeks through the elections, and then I think maybe December, maybe the float. But if you're going to do anything with puts, go out to January, February. I think you're safe with that. For if Yellen raises the rates in November or December, I think this markets are going to tank, just like they did last year when she did it in December. Same thing. They're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. That's just a bad sign, guys. They're just kicking the can down the road just like every other time, and then boom, we're going to just collapse. Now the IYT, we're back above 8,000 on the Dow Jones Transports. We were starting to break down, but they had to come out and save the day today. Oh my gosh, this can't break down. If this breaks down, it's going to be bad news. But the daily, again, lagging indicator. Here's the all-time highs up in here. No, that's not even the all. I'll show you on the weekly. But until we get above these 150, 151 area, this thing's been just chopping around doing nothing. A little bit bullish, but we are back above the 50. I gotta see more consolidation. This thing's just kind of chopping around, but it's still weak. Every time it gets above and tries to make a new, get out of this 147 area, it comes right back in. Weekly chart, same thing. Great bullish pattern on here. Every time they try to break it out, it comes back in. Today they're trying to save the day. Tomorrow, next week, we'll see what happens with this. I want to see the close tomorrow, see where we happen on the weekly chart. I still think we're going lower. Once we crack these MAs, we're going to this trend line, then possibly 126, and ultimately the 114.91 area, or double bottom down here, and then we'll redetermine where the SPY is to see if we could go long on these indexes. Let's go to the USO. The famous USO. They're chopping and slopping this one every day up, every day down. Whoa, Russia this time. No, Saudi this time. No, Iraq's are green this time. It's always some BS news trying to get this up. Oil goes up, and the markets tend to follow on the light volume. But again, we're below the 20 MA, and we confirm. So let's see if we could get back above it, or do we chop around sideways and then possibly set up for lower prices? We need to get it back above the 20 MA, this pivot, fill this gap, and then go for the 1178 if you want to continue up. But right now, it's a little bit on the weak side. Weekly chart, I'm waiting for the close tomorrow to see where this one is. Once we get that information, then we'll know a little bit more. But it looks at this point like it's not going to confirm above the MAs, but it is slightly bullish pattern above the MAs. Let's see if this thing can consolidate maybe into this line and set it up. If not, then watch for this one to continue down, get below the moving averages, and then possibly hit this trend line maybe for another bounce. This is the line in the sand, guys. If this thing breaks, it's going to go boom, boom to all these pivots right back to the lows, and I think it could possibly go lower if the markets start to sell off. We got the UUP. That one was up too. So oil up a little bit, UUP up a little bit, just a little disconnected again. Gold was up a little bit, so dollar up. Gold and oil should be coming down, but it didn't do it today, so a little bit disconnected, maybe on the 77 million on the SPY light volume, but this is consolidating to have a next move up. I'd like to see maybe 4 or 5 more days of consolidation, and then I think we can get above this line. If that starts to move again, oils will come down. We got a gap fill right around 25.87, 86 area. And then we have the double top, 26.13. I think we have one more top too. Yeah, right there, 26.49. I think that's ultimately where we're getting to. But let's wait for pattern. Let's see what's going to happen. Right now it is choppy, sloppy. Let the 20 MA curl into price, see if it could take, set it off. Like a firecracker. That's like the wick. Again, weekly chart, we're right back into resistance. Not bad resistance up here, so that's why we're kind of chopping and slopping. We had a nice move up on the dollar. Let's see if we can consolidate a little bit and then possibly move up on the UUP. The gold, the GLD. GLD, same thing. Daily chart. We talked about this today in our live session. We had down, sideways. It did recapture the 20 MA, but we're still below the 200 MA. Still bearish pattern, setting up for possible lower prices. I still think we could get to the 115 area, 115.50 or whatever that is, then gap fill, and then maybe the 110 area, but we'll see how the markets are going and how it reacts in the next couple weeks with the elections and stuff like that. Weekly chart. Weekly chart setting up on a nice inside bar bearish pattern. As long as it stays below the 20 and the 200 and just consolidates here, you can maybe go short on this, but we're going to have to see how these markets are reacting. Man, I'd like one more push down, and this is setting up real nice, guys, for the next leg down. But again, anything's possible with these markets, so who knows. But let's go into Amzn real quick here. So Amzn had earnings, 772. It looks like it closed. So it's right pretty much on this 20 moving average on the weekly chart. We are back below this big trend line, so beware of this. This could drag the markets down a little bit, but you do have support in this area. We did cover our short. We were in at 746 today, almost at the low of the day. And the reason for that was we had some pivot support right in here. And if you go a little bit lower down in there, you have, where was it right there? 750 you had a pivot, and then you had this little gap window coming in here in 46. But you had some good support right around the 750 area. So when it took a dive a little bit lower, we just took it off the table and said thank you very much. If this thing moves up again, we'll be shorting this one again, as well as Google too. We'll see if Google could get a little more upside tomorrow. We'll take a look at that one as well. So again, guys, come to the live sessions. We've been doing it. I'm going to try to do them around noon Eastern time, New York time, lunchtime on Wall Street. It's a little bit more quiet. We go through charts, we try to find trades, and we take what we see, guys. We had a couple out there in the last couple days. We called Alta. Alta was just epic. We're in a couple of new ones too. We'll see if those start playing out. ACIA too, that was epic as well. But all right, guys, I'm done for the night. Let's try to do a live session tomorrow. Thanks for coming to the room. Thanks for watching my videos. Any questions or comments, stockbookie@gmail.com. Thanks again, guys. God bless. See you on the charts.